Once upon a time, there was a beautiful young woman named Elen who was just 20 years old. She was known as the oldest lady in town and led a reckless lifestyle. She would sleep with men in exchange for money, believing that life was meant to be enjoyed to its fullest. Nothing could stop her from pursuing her pleasures. Every man, whether single or married, desired to experience being with her. Elen's parents were devout believers, with her father being a pastor and the founder of a church that had many followers. He ran the church alongside his wife. Elen's parents disowned her because of her lifestyle, as she had slept with nearly half the men in her father's church who were willing to give her money or material things. She had undergone numerous abortions in the past and vowed never to have a child, thinking that motherhood would ruin her body and prevent her from continuing her carefree lifestyle. One day, she noticed she was falling ill and decided to visit the hospital. After several tests, she discovered she was pregnant. As usual, Elen told the doctor she wanted to terminate the pregnancy. "Doctor, you know how it's done. Let's get this baby out quickly," she said. The doctor responded, "Do you remember what I told you the last time you had an abortion?" "Yes, I do, doctor, but I'm not ready to be a mother right now," Elen replied. The doctor continued, "You had complications during your last abortion, and I warned you that it should be your last. If you try it again, you might lose your life or your womb. Do you want to die?" Elen became furious, shouting at the doctor, accusing him of being incompetent. She then proceeded to another clinic to have the procedure done, but after a series of tests, she was advised not to have an abortion as it could cost her life or her womb. Angry and dejected, Elen became depressed but eventually came to terms with the fact that she was going to have a baby. She didn't even know who the father was. After days of contemplation, she decided to move to another town, far from where she was currently living. 9 months later, she gave birth to a bouncing baby boy. Instead of feeling joy, she looked at the baby with disgust, blaming him for making the past 9 months miserable and almost unbearable for her. She quickly devised a plan to abandon the baby in a slum and return to the city to resume her reckless lifestyle. One evening, after making up her mind, Elen took the baby and walked to the slum area. Without any hesitation or remorse, she abandoned the baby, ignoring his cries as she walked away, never looking back. She didn't care whether the baby would survive the night or not. The next morning, Elen quickly packed her bags and moved back to the city, lying to everyone that she had traveled abroad and was now back for good. While she was busy deceiving people about her sudden disappearance, the baby she left in the slum was crying heavily. The baby's cries caught the attention of passers-by, who were confused and scared. They couldn't bring themselves to approach the baby. "Whose baby is this? Who would abandon a child here? What a wicked world," they whispered to each other. One man named Tund couldn't bear to hear the baby cry any longer. He hurriedly picked up the baby, cuddled him gently, and took him home. When he arrived home, his wife, Aisha, was shocked. "Where did you get this baby from?" she asked curiously. Tund explained, "My wife. I found this little boy in the slum while I was walking. I couldn't leave him there. I'm sure someone must have abandoned him." Aisha, still in shock, voiced her concerns. "Are you sure no one is looking for this baby? I don't want any trouble." She took the baby from him, bathed him, and ensured he was well cared for. Tund and Aisha had been married for 10 years without a child. They didn't know if they were doing the right thing by taking in a stranger's child, fearing they might be accused of kidnapping if the truth about the baby was discovered. After much consideration, they decided to keep the baby, hoping that caring for him would bring them good luck and blessings, and that one day they might have a child of their own. They named him Ao, meaning joy. The news of the mysterious baby spread throughout the town. People watched Tund and Aisha closely to see how they treated the boy. As time passed, Ao grew into a loving, intelligent boy who was kind, respectful, and grateful for the love Tund and Aisha showered upon him. Despite their modest means, they ensured Ao was well cared for, treating him as their own biological child. However, Ao was not entirely happy. He often felt sad and isolated, struggling with the stigma attached to his origins. One evening, while sitting in the living room, Tun noticed a change in Ao's demeanor and asked, "My boy, what's the matter? I've noticed you're not as cheerful and playful as you used to be. You barely smile these days. Did your mother scold you?" Ao replied, "I'm sad, Daddy. Everywhere I go, they call me Slum Baby. They have a song they always sing for me. They say it was the demon of the slum that gave birth to me." Tun quickly stopped him, saying, "Don't say that again. You are my child, my only son. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Forget all the names they call you outside. That's not who you are. You are my boy, and I love you very much." Despite Tun's reassurances, Ao continued to face bullying and mockery at school. His classmates taunted him, singing cruel songs and making fun of his origins. Slum Baby, the only son of the dirty demon," they jeered. Their words cut deep into Ao's heart, making him cry his eyes out and sometimes run away from class to hide. While Ao struggled with constant bullying, Elen continued with her reckless lifestyle, caring little about the fate of the child she had abandoned. She pursued wealth and pleasure, never considering the consequences of her actions. One day, as Elen was going about her daily business, she met a very popular and wealthy politician named Senator Raymond. He was an influential man that every woman wanted as a sugar daddy. Senator Raymond had 5 wives, but that didn't stop him from pursuing every woman that caught his eye. Elen had been praying to meet him for a long time, hoping to share in his wealth. As time passed, they began talking, and she joined the long list of Senator Raymond's concubines. She hoped that one day she would become one of his legal wives and bear children for him. Her status and reputation on the streets soared as Senator Raymond spared no expense in spoiling her with money. However, after many years of dating him, he refused to marry her. As Elen grew older, she became increasingly desperate. She wanted to settle down and saw Senator Raymond as her ticket to a secure future. Despite all her efforts, she couldn't conceive a child with him, which made her miserable and unhappy. Her inability to conceive drove her to despair. She visited numerous hospitals and clinics to see various specialists, but all to no avail. She slowly came to believe that God was punishing her for her past sins. "Oh God, I know I have done so many bad things in the past. Please forgive me and grant me this one wish to have a child for Senator Raymond, so I can be his wife," Elen prayed, her voice filled with hope. While Elen was desperately seeking a solution to her childlessness, Ao was growing up against all odds, proving those who bullied him wrong by excelling in his studies and other aspects of his life, making his parents proud. He recently graduated from secondary school as the best student and won a scholarship to study any course of his choice at the university. Although Ao wasn't sure what he wanted to become in the future, his main desire was to be rich enough to help as many abandoned children and orphans as possible. He believed he was lucky to have been saved by his parents, Tund and Aisha. One day, after much thought about his future, Ao said to his mother, "Mom, I think I want to be a doctor. I want to save lives. I think it's a profession I would enjoy for the rest of my life." Aisha was overjoyed and immediately shared the news with Tund. They couldn't have been prouder of their son. Although Ao wasn't their biological child, he had brought immense joy into their lives, and they were thankful to God for that. After a few months, the universe played a trick on Elen as Ao, the little boy she had abandoned years ago, chose to attend a prestigious university in the city where Elen lived. He knew the school produced some of the best doctors in the country. He settled well into the school and began his journey toward becoming a medical doctor. For years later, despite all her efforts, Elen's situation worsened. She remained childless and was approaching menopause. Happiness slowly faded from her world, and she became increasingly saddened by her current situation with Senator Raymond. She thought to herself, "I can't be this man's side chick forever. He will find another woman and forget about me. I have to do whatever it takes to become his wife. What if he dies today? What will I gain from being with him all these years? I don't care what it takes. I want to."